Chapter 44. Academy Days. Part 3. Teshin. Shoto's days follow a specific routine. He gets up early in the morning to get in more training and practice his form, hone his martial art. He's taken to training inside the dojo after his training behind the house woke up his family a few times. So dojo, it is. It works just as well for him, but he does prefer to hit the tree trunks for endurance training. His parents have shown worry that he's overworking himself, waking up much earlier than they'd recommend, and putting more of a strain on his growing body than he should, but he's brushed it aside. He needs to be in perfect shape if he's to be the top taijutsu practitioner and show off the Teshin clan's Shorin Ryu martial arts. Most of all, he needs to be several steps ahead of Jiriki Hyuga. As he continues his training in the hall, teachers from the Teshin clan begin to arrive in order to prepare for the day, and soon after, students begin flooding. That's his cue to take a rest before school starts. While changing out of his training robes, he does see a rather peculiar figure enter the dojo. A young girl of no more than 15 years of age, with long dark brown hair tied in a ponytail. Her very distinct pale eyes are a dead giveaway of her identity. A Hyuga. Shoto raises a brow at her presence here. Why would a Hyuga of all people come to the Teshin clan's dojo? Surely they have their own place to train and wouldn't need to mingle with anyone else. The girl is immediately welcomed by none other than his own parents, themselves just arriving in the dojo. Lady Hanabi. Asami Teshin bows to the Hyuga heiress, as does her husband. It's an honor to welcome you. Hanabi bows back. Asami-sensei, Itasaka-sensei. Thank you for agreeing to see me. Of course. How could we ever refuse? Asami motions her to follow them further inside to possibly discuss something. Shoto's preparing his things more slowly now, kind of curious why Hanabi Hyuga of all people is here. Itasaka asks a question Shoto himself has been asking. I'm still uncertain as to why you would seek us out. The Hyuga's gentle fist is hardly something we can assist you with training. Hanabi follows them toward the back of the dojo, towards a door that leads to a series of rooms, most of them changing rooms, but also some restrooms and offices. It's not training that I require, Itasaka-sensei, but experience against other fighting styles. The upcoming Chunin exams may be the most important in a long time, and I aim to perform at my best. So it's about those Chunin exams? Shoto thinks to himself as he finally finishes packing his things, having taken longer than he should. Heading to the exit, Hanabi calls out to him. You're Shoto, right? Hinata's student. Shoto turns around, surprised to be recognized. Yes? Hanabi smirks, keep at it, alright? Don't let him put you down. And goes with Itasaka and Asami to the back rooms of the Shorin dojo. Shoto raises a confused eyebrow. Could she mean? He shakes his head. Never mind. At the academy, days go by as normal. Tenten teach her the usual subjects, ancient and recent history of the shinobi world, jutsu theory, and even survival. Her specialty, of course, is weapons training, where she runs them through practice, encouraging them to pick up a new weapon each time. Today, Shoto picks up an nunchaku. He watches Yakimaru fumble around with a tanto blade, while Katori tries to keep a wakizashi stable in her hands. Hopefully this'll end with all limbs still attached. He takes a glance at the Hyuga who's getting better acquainted with a chain sickle. For a very brief moment their eyes meet and they immediately turn to face away from each other, pretending it never happened. When it comes right down to it, Shoto doesn't need a weapon. Neither do his friends as far as he's concerned. They've both got amazing abilities that would be better honed instead, but it never hurts to have a fallback in case things go south. For him, though, his weapons are the only weapons he needs, should all else fail. Jiriki is probably thinking the same thing. Their pride comes from their martial art, not steel. Still, they have to take part in this class. It's part of the curriculum, after all. The part of the day Shoto actually looks forward is the taijutsu spars, where he gets to show off what he's really capable of. Shoto Teshin. Tenten calls out for the boy to step forward. Shoto takes his position on the field, expectantly waiting for his opponent for today to be chosen. He knows who he wants to fight, but has never come up. Genzai Saratobi. Tenten calls out the second participant. Shoto lightly groans in annoyance. Not today, either. As Genzai steps forward with his hands in his pockets, Tenten eyes both Shoto and Jiriki and thinks to herself. I wonder how long I can keep these two separated. Genzai and Shoto give the traditional start of shinobi spars with the seal of confrontation, index and middle finger pointed upward. It took Shoto a bit of time to get used to this one, as he'd subconsciously give his own greeting of bowing with a fist in his palm. Looking at the relaxed Genzai now, he realizes he's never truly seen him fight seriously. He always gives these half-hearted attempts, and even though he does win, that's more because the classmates he was paired against just aren't that good with taijutsu. Looking at the young Sarutobi now, one hand still in his pocket, Shoto's motivation is diminishing. Seeing someone not taking martial arts seriously is infuriating to say the least. First the Hyuga, but now the Sarutobi makes light of the situation. Looks like this one needs to be taught a lesson. Begin. Tenten gives the signal. Shoto dashes forward, not waiting even a moment for Genzai to even try any sort of defense, given how terrible his starting stance is. One hit should be enough to decide this. Shoto delivers a jab to the sides of the stomach, but Genzai slips out of the way. Another jab to the chest that Genzai spins out of the way for, spinning right into Shoto's face, as a matter of fact. Far too close for comfort, far closer than he ever should have gotten, and yet he somehow was fast enough to do it. Shoto pushes him away and takes a step back himself. This guy, Genzai smirks. Watching you and Jiriki have a go at it, this big rivalry about taijutsu mastery, really, who cares? It's just annoying, isn't it? He yawns. Didn't strike me as the type who cares. Shoto runs at him. I don't. That's why it's annoying to watch every day. Genzai runs forward, as well. When Shoto comes near, he goes for another jab, but stopped midway. He switches to a kick, hoping to catch Genzai off guard. It doesn't work. Genzai leaps in the air and wraps a leg around Shoto's leg, which was aiming right for his shoulder. He snakes his leg around and pulls Shoto off balance, just close enough for him to spin mid-air and deliver an axe kick to the Teshin boy. Shoto falls face first to the ground just as Genzai lands on his feet and takes a step back. Shoto grunts in frustration and pushes himself up with one hand while cleaning his face with the other. On the sidelines, Jiriki smirks. So he's actually trying now. He's always trying. Kashiwama munches on some snacks next to him. You just try too hard. Jiriki crosses his arms and pretends he didn't hear that. This guy's a taijutsu master too? He's been hiding his abilities from us? No, Jiriki Hyuga and Kashiwama Senju probably know exactly what he's capable of. Genzai remains in a completely neutral position. Nothing about his current demeanor would suggest he's in a fight. That only pisses Shoto off even more. This time, he braces himself like never before, taking on a more defensive stance. He focuses all of his energy to face this one unexpected foe and prepares to strike with more thought. The two boys continue their bout at a more event pace now that Shoto has cleared his head. Genzai fights with impressive speed and an unpredictable fighting style. The Shorin Ryu can stand up against many forms of martial arts and is well equipped to handle different situations. This, however, is entirely different. Genzai's taijutsu is wholly unpredictable and has no rhythm to it whatsoever. He's constantly spinning, jumping, or both. His attacks don't follow a pattern that Shoto can recognize, and no two attacks are really the same. He's almost like a monkey. Yakimaru observes from the side. Katori nods. It's weird how anyone can fight like that. Reminds me a lot of Heiai. That was your friend from the Hidden Cloud? Yeah. It's a different style, but really wild just like Genzai's. The class gasps. Katori and Yakimaru turn their attention back to the fight just in time to see Shoto gets kneed in the chest and shoved to the ground. Genzai stands atop the fallen Shoto, knee pressed down on the chest. Shoto grits his teeth and tries to push himself up to no avail. Fine. I give. Genzai stands up and offers a hand to his opponent. Shoto ignores it and stands up on his own. All right then. Genzai puts his hand back in his pocket, not overly disturbed by the display. Before Shoto can get out of the arena, Tenten calls out to him. The seal of reconciliation. The two boys intertwine their index and middle fingers, the same ones used to issue the challenge, into what's also called the unison sign, meant to symbolize goodwill and no bad intentions between the two foes. Whether that's actually true is another matter altogether. Genzai has his usual aloof expression in stark contrast to the frustration Shoto feels. Don't get too caught up in stuff that doesn't matter. Genzai goes back to where Jiriki and Kashiwama are. Tenten sighs. I might have to keep these two apart now, too. Kashiwama laughs and pats his friend on the back. That was awesome. An odd time to show off, don't you think? Jiriki huffs. So does this mean you plan on sparring with me again? Kashiwama laughs. Maybe this time you'll actually win. Jiriki grumbles and crosses his arms. Genzai sits down to rest from the spar. Well, you know how it is. Sometimes life sways you one direction, the next day, in another. Now you just sound like an old man. Shoto, on the other side of the group, plops down on the ground with a dissatisfied grunt, coming from both frustration and pain. Wow, who knew Genzai was that good? Yakimaru comments. Damn it. I was so focused on beating Jiriki. Shoto lightly hits the ground with a fist. Katori takes out a medicinal salve from her pack and hands it to Shoto. Use this. Mom made it. Thanks. He takes the salve and begins applying it to his sore spots. It stings on touch, but that might be just a bruises. You're gonna obsess over this, aren't you? Katori asks with a knowing smile. Wah, I don't obsess. Shoto protests. You kind of do, though. Yakimaru agrees with her assessment. Shoto grumbles. Yeah, well, shut up. At the end of the school day, as everyone heads out to go home, the three usual suspects are still together until their paths fully diverge. Hey, Yoku, Shoto, wanna go to one of the training grounds and really let loose? Katori grins. Shoto chuckles. Where's this coming from? Well, you know, we still gotta train on our stuff, right? And it's always good to train against other people. Shoto scratches his chin. I suppose. That's probably what Hanabi Hyuga meant when she stopped by the dojo earlier. Training on your own can only do you so much good until you stop being able to grow. The shinobi world is varied, and unless you know how to deal with that variety. Shoto looks back, taking a cursory glance at the academy that's still barely in view. His eyes dart around for the Saratobi boy, but he's nowhere in sight, probably gone home already. I actually can't. Yakimaru chimes in. We're going to dinner. With your mom? Katori asks. Yakimaru nods in response. Yeah. And Teuchi and Ayame. Shoto smiles and fist bumps him on the shoulder. So you're all good now? Yakimaru smiles. I think so. At least I'm trying to be. Katori runs up to him and gives him a tight hug. That's great, Yakimaru. So you made up with your mom? Yeah. It's still a lot to take in, but you guys were right. Talking about it was good. Shoto crosses his arms. Of course we were right. We always are. You have fun, all right? Katori beams. We'll try not to get too strong without you. Yakimaru laughs. Don't hold back just for me. With that, Yakimaru goes for a family dinner, or as close to a family as they are right now, while Katori and Shoto flicker away to the nearest training. Shoto looks at Katori from the corner of his eye. If you summon that stink bird, I'm never training with you again. Katori laughs. Way to be a sore loser. Later that evening. After an afternoon of sparring and further training with Katori, Shoto returns home thankfully not stinking of manure because of that Hotsun thing they saw in the land of water. He still has no idea how or why Katori isn't affected by the throat-trenching smell. He opens the doors to the dojo to be met by a sight he wasn't necessarily expecting. Hanabi Hyuga is still here for some reason, sitting to the side next to his mother Asami. Probably the weirder part is what's happening in the arena itself. His father Itasaka is currently sparring with a green man. A bowl haircut, thick eyebrows, a green jumpsuit, an absolutely odd combination of elements, and yet here it is in front of him. When he enters, his mom beckons him to join them by the side, which he does, while keeping an eye on the spar. The green man is fast. Even if it's just for training, he can tell this guy isn't even using a fraction of his abilities, and yet he's still delivering these heavy blows and kicks. Itasaka Teshin is well trained, one of the best among the clan, but the Shorin Ryu martial art hasn't had to stand against actual shinobi since the Second War. It's definitely lost its edge, an edge that Shoto intends on sharpening once more. Shoto bows to his guest and sits down Caesar-style next to his mother. Your training isn't over? He asks Hanabi. Hanabi smiles to him. The day went quicker than we anticipated. And then Rock Lee came to the dojo, and I couldn't simply leave without watching this fight. Rock Lee? Shoto turns his attention back to the arena. Is that who that is? Hanabi nods. My sister never talked about him? I think they did. Apparently he's super strong, right? Shoto tries to recall some conversations they've had over their year-long journey together. They've talked about a lot, so it's difficult to remember full details about a stranger he's only just now seeing for the first time. He is. The spar doesn't continue for much longer. They observe the shinobi and his own fighting style, which mainly revolves around spinning kicks and constantly moving around your opponent. It's not a controlled fighting style like the Hyuga's gentle fist or the Teshin's empty hand, but it's not wild like Genzai's fighting style from today. So how was your day, dear? Asami asks. It was normal. Nothing really that different. Well, not entirely true. Shoto whips around to look at their guest again. Lady Hanabi, you want to practice against multiple styles, correct? Hanabi raises a brow. Yes, that's correct. So you're familiar with every fighting style in the Hidden Leaf? To an extent. Many within the Leaf don't practice a particular style as our clans do. There's certain techniques the Hidden Leaf teaches, which Rock Lee and his teacher Might Guy have mastery over, but many simply follow a standard form of taijutsu. What about the Sarutobi clan's taijutsu? Hanabi cocks her head. Sarutobi? They don't really have a specific taijutsu as far as I'm aware, although some definitely have an unorthodox fighting style. I presume that comes from their clan summons, and many take after them. Some take after them too much, being arrogant, obnoxious, far more in your face than any reasonable person should, and loud. So very loud. Hanabi grows exasperated. That sounds really specific. Shoto wonders if he somehow struck a nerve. Hanabi clears her throat and composes herself. Either way, their taijutsu comes more from their relationship with their monkey summoning contract. Are you asking for any particular reason? What do you have on your mind, Shoto? Asami asks. A male voice breaks their conversation. Yet another outrageous notion, I presume. Itasaka approaches the three of them, with Rock Lee following closely behind. You've finished your spar? Asami stands to assist her husband with getting dried off. We have indeed. Lee flashes a grin and a thumbs up. It was a most fruitful spar. I've learned much from our time, Itasaka-sensei. Itasaka laughs. I'd say I was the one who learned today. Shoto focuses on his father for a moment. Seeing his more lighthearted demeanor and friendly interaction with people not of the clan, he's a completely different person from just 2 years ago, when he refused to even consider others as worth the time. What he said is true, he's also learning, and the results are showing. Shoto stands up and bows to their guests. It is an honor to meet you. I'm Shoto Teshin. Lee returns the bow. Rock Lee, the honor is mine. You're Naruto and Hinata's disciple, yes? And Itasaka-sensei and Asami-sensei's son. I am, sir. Lee grins. You've many strong people placing their hopes on you, Shoto Teshin. I'll do my best not to disappoint. Shoto reaffirms. Hanabi stands up, straightening her robes. Well then, I believe it's time for me to head home. I've taken up too much of your day already. Nonsense. Asami reassures her. It was our pleasure to host you today. You're welcome to the Shorin Ryu dojo at any time. I shall head out, as well. Lee stretches. I'm yet to do my 1,000 laps around the village. Hanabi chuckles. You still intend to continue training? Of course. Lee grips his fist, prepared to give a speech. Training never stops. If at any point you feel you can better yourself, then you should do it. No questions about it. That is how I've lived my life, and how I intend to live it. Would you like to join, Hanabi? She waves her hands dismissively. I believe my own training is done for the day. I've clan matters to attend to. Then let us be on our way. Itasaka-sensei, Asami-sensei, Shoto, we shall meet again. Both Lee and Hanabi bow before heading toward the front door together. Just as they open and step out, Shoto runs up to them. Or more specifically, up to Rock Lee. Itasaka and Asami share a look. He's definitely got something planned. Excuse me. Shoto calls out. Would you teach me? The Hidden Leaf style. Oh? Lee raises a bushy brow. An eager learner, huh? But you already have teachers, don't you? I do, but to make my taijutsu stronger, I need to evolve it. I need to learn more and make it brand new so it can be a proper taijutsu for a shinobi, and for that I need to find a style that works with our empty hand. Naruto Shisho and Hinata Shisho are strong, but their taijutsu is too different. Please. Shoto bows. Hanabi smirks. So that's why you were asking about the leaf styles. Jiriki get under your skin? Well, there's that but a lot of other things too. Shoto looks up, anticipating his answer. After a moment of contemplation, Lee gives a thumbs up. Who am I to refuse such an eagerness to improve? If you wish to learn, then be prepared to become the strongest you could possibly be. I will not go easy on you, just because you are Naruto's disciple. I wouldn't dream of it. Shoto beams. Then let us start. Lee declares. Now? Of course. What better time to start learning than right now? If the passion is there, then you must act while the fires of your youth are burning bright. Oh, Shoto looks around in a panic, just 1 minute. And runs off to the main house to leave behind his things and get a change of clothes. Itasaka approaches, with Asami next to him, sighing. That boy, he's gone and done it again. You don't need to humor him. Hanabi laughs. I can see why my sister and Naruto took such a liking to him. He's got guts. And he used to be such a reserved boy. Asami muses. Now he's asking everyone left and right to train him. I apologize for the inconvenience. She bows to Lee. Eagerness to learn is nothing that needs apologizing. I shall take him under my youthful wing and help him grow to the best of my abilities. We should go and have a conversation with him. Asami looks to her husband, who nods in agreement. That boy is slowly but surely becoming a handful. We should. Itasaka bows to their two guests and they take their leave, following their son inside. Now just the two of them, Hanabi turns to Lee. You're taking up a lot of responsibility. In addition to opening your own dojo and taking in disciples, you've also agreed to help me train for the Chunin exams. Do you have the time? Of course I do. I'm not only teaching, but also learning how to teach and learning how to navigate this new stage of my life. It is crucial that I push myself to become stronger. It's not just Shoto who wishes to grow. Hanabi smiles. You really are as Neji described you. I had my doubts a person existed that would earn so much of his praise. Lee smiles as he looks up to the darkening sky. It's for him that I push myself. I spent most of my genin career trying to catch up to him as a fellow taijutsu user, but now I need to catch up to him as a person as well. That's what I want too. Just don't let that overtake who you are. Lee tilts his head in confusion. In what way? Neji, he always had a lot of things on his mind. Whether it was when he was young and hated us from the main branch, or when he grew older and we became closer, he was always thinking on a grander scale. He never stopped to think about his own life, about what he wants as a person, rather than as a part of a bigger whole. Lee pats her on the shoulder. That's surprisingly insightful, Hanabi. Thank you. At this point, Shoto comes rushing back to them with a change of clothes. I'm ready. All right then. Lee's voice booms. Let's begin with 1,000 handstand laps around the village. He flips over to stand on his hands and begins walking into the village. Shoto stares for a few seconds. Wait, what? Hanabi chuckles and pats him on the head. Good luck. You're going to need it. Hyuga Clan District. Returning back home, Hanabi passes through the common training grounds for the Hyuga clan before going directly to her father. There, she spots many Hyuga from both the main and the side branches practicing their form, including one of the most promising youths, Jiriki Hyuga. She remains for a few minutes, observing the instructors giving commands and leading by example. Some lag behind and don't shift their position quick enough, others get the directions wrong. It's something they'll get the hang of with time. She recalls a time when such mistakes were inexcusable, when a simple verbal reprimand wasn't enough. Her mistakes had to sink in to ensure that she never repeats them. That led to a very disjointed familiar bond. She never knew the traditional warmth of a parent, and she never got close to her own sister until just a couple years ago. Thankfully, that's changed a great deal. The closed-off nature of the Hyuga is slowly coming to an end. Lady Hanabi? Jiriki slowly approaches her, bowing deeply at the clan heiress. May I ask you a question? His head remains lowered. Of course, Jiriki. Come sit with me. She pats the wooden boards by her side. Ah, no, I'd never. The boy becomes flustered. If any of his classmates saw how meek he is right now, that would ruin his entire image. Is it true you spent the day with the Teshin clan? I did. She cocks her head and smirks. Do you not approve? Jiriki jumps back. I'd never think to judge. He blurts out quickly to try and defend himself. It's just. Hanabi patiently waits for him to speak his mind. Is there anything for us to learn from them? We're one of the oldest clans with traditions spanning hundreds of years that have kept us one of the strongest. Why learn from others when we've more than enough skill and knowledge? Hanabi sighs. I'm sorry that mentality's been thrust into you, Jiriki. There's many things we can learn. Some of the strongest and most powerful people were the ones who didn't shun others and welcome change with open arms. She stands up and pats him on the shoulder as she passes by him. You might be surprised how much you can learn from Shoto. Jiriki grumbles. I doubt it. End of chapter 44. Chapter 45. Academy Days. Part 4. Preparations. Life in the Hidden Leaf goes on as normal. People walk down the streets, going about their days, running errands, shopping, going to work. What they don't know is that the shinobi of the village are currently on a mission. Kiba and Akamaru are on the hunt. The Inyazuka has changed some over the years. Now sporting a light goatee and slightly longer swept-back hair. Over his flak jacket he wears a gray fur coat, with the most notable addition being a band on his arm, designated his current status as a member of the Leaf Police Force. An organization that spent some time being a shadow of its former self, although its former self wasn't exactly all sunshine either. Sanada made sure to rebuild it as an institution that could help the villagers, mainly the civilians, of the Hidden Leaf, have people they can safely turn to aid them. It'll take time to wash away the image it had gotten from when the Uchiha led it. For one, now no one clan is in charge of it. In fact, it's now no longer just shinobi who are a part of it. They're still the majority, but normal people have been allowed to join to keep the peace within the walls. Such peace involves making sure their security measures are up to standards, which involves working with the other organizations of the Leaf. Kiba, turn left, down the alley. Ino gives him directions from his earpiece. He doesn't respond verbally, but presses a button on his device which sends a signal back to base that he's received the instructions. This current mission involves searching for foreign presences. The sensory team keep an eye out, or maybe a mind out would be a better term, and the police force are sent to investigate. Of course, since this is a tile, they're currently chasing after fellow Leaf shinobi who are trying to hide from the sensory unit. Kiba nods to Akamaru, signaling him to take a different route. Thanks to their enhanced senses, they can keep tabs on each other and know the other's locations to better coordinate a pincer maneuver. 40 paces in front of you. He taps the device again to give an affirmative. When you're tracking someone who doesn't want to be tracked, you have to keep your noise to a minimum. Kiba approaches a man hanging in the alley, leaning against a wall. When the man sees Kiba come around the corner, he immediately makes a run for it, pushing containers and trash cans to block the path. Why do alleys have these just lying around, ready to be pushed? Before he can get too far, a giant bear of a white dog jumps on him and bites his arm. Barely a second after, Kiba is on him with a kunai to his throat. The man smiles, excellently done. And in a puff of smoke, his appearance changes. Sai pats Akamaru on the head, and the dog lets go of his arm. Kiba offers a hand which is readily taken. I'd thought I disguised my chakra well. Sai brushes the dust from his clothes. You did. Ino's voice draws their attention to the roof above them, where she's sitting over the edge cross-legged. I'm just better. She smirks. Kiba chuckles. You sure do like bragging. Well, I'll admit you made an easy job a little easier. Akamaru and mine's noses would have done the task just fine. Ino wags her finger. Keep dreaming, pal. It's only with our combined efforts that we can really keep the village safe. The sensory team, the police force, and Anbu. There's no need to fight amongst ourselves when we're working toward the same thing. Sai places a hand on Kiba's shoulder to act as a mediator. Kiba stares at him for a moment before sighing. You really sucked the fun out of that. Ino laughs, don't worry, I'll trash talk you later. And hops down to the ground with them. Sai looks confused between the two of them. I thought those would instill teamwork and camaraderie between our teams. Was that not the right time? The words were good, Sai, but we already know, don't worry. Kiba lightly fistbumps him on the chest. I see. Sai scratches his chin. I'll need to work on that some more, it seems. Don't worry, you'll get there. Ino reassures him. That will, however, have to wait. We've still many precautions and trainings to do until the Chunin exams. Sai nods to both of them before flickering away to continue his work. Ino gives a heavy sigh. I should go too. Have some time to spare before the clan meeting. So much to do, so little time. When she turns around to head out of the alley they'd found themselves in, Kiba reaches over to gently grab her by the arm. Hey, hold on. We finally got some time to ourselves. Can't we just take a break for a couple minutes? He pleads. Ino smiles and steps closer to him. She places a hand on his cheek and kisses him on the lips. I know. I want to spend more time too, but there's so much to do right now. Kiba presses his forehead against hers. There'll be a lot to do for a while. We still have a month of prep, and then like a month, when all the most important people will be in the village for the exams. Ino laughs. You're really cute when you get needy. Why, I'm not needy. Kiba takes a step back, his face flushed red. I'm just, asking if maybe you want a break. I don't care. Akamaru whines at his master and friend's weak attempt. Sure. Don't worry, handsome, when we get some free time, it'll be a time to remember. She winks and continues her previously halted exit. For now, look forward to it. She very purposefully sways her hips until she steps out into the streets. I'll tell your mom you said hi. Don't bring up my mother after that. Kiba whines. Akamaru cocks his head at Kiba. Awoo? Shut up. Nara household. Having spent the day in relative leisure, it's time for Tamari to get ready for the big meeting. It's still a month, but there's many things they need to prepare for. The Shinobi Union, which she is a Hidden Sand representative of here in the Hidden Leaf, is going to host probably the biggest Chunin exams yet. The 5 villages that are already part of the union are going to participate, as are many of the smaller nations that wish to become a part of this new world order. The Hidden Rain, Grass, Waterfall, Mountain, Frost, and Star villages have always been reluctant allies to the great nations during wars, as they didn't really have a choice but to agree to support a side lest they face 2 enemy forces rather than 1. Now, things are to be different, or that's the plan. Negotiations are pending. That's actually what the Chunin exams are for, to foster goodwill. Tamari sighs as she puts on her sand flak jacket over her usual black dress. We've just figured out the Shinobi Union, and it's already expanding. With a final adjustment of her clothes, she puts on her headband. Barely had time to figure things out with just the 5 nations, now we're more than doubling our numbers. She laments the difficulty of the task ahead of them before taking a long look at herself in the mirror in her room. This is gonna be such a DR, she stops herself before she can finish that sentence. Shaking her head, she heads out the room with a quickened step. I've been spending too much time here. When the Shinobi Union was formed and each village sent a single representative to live in the allied villages, they all aimed to ensure they feel as at home as they could given the circumstances. That involved a sort of adoption, one could say. The representatives would live in with a clan or family chosen by the host village. Tamari, for all her luck, was set to live with the Nara clan, which meant having to see Shikamaru a whole lot. Fun. She makes her way to the kitchen, where her host has prepared a meal for her. One set out in a plate for her to eat now before going out, and another already placed in a bento box and wrapped for later consumption. Tamari shakes her head and looks at Yoshino Nara, who's cleaning the cutlery used to make this meal. Seriously, you don't have to go through all this trouble for me. Yoshino turns her head and laughs. Ha, nonsense. You might be a big shot in your village, but I'm a mother, and as long as you're under this roof, you're a child that I'll care for. Now eat up, you'll need your energy. Tamari chuckles. Yes, ma'am. She sits and begins eating. All in all, the situation isn't all bad. Yoshino is a presence that she never had the chance to know, a caring but strict parent. Well, the strict part is something she's familiar with, although she's nowhere near what her father was, and she's only strict with her own lazy son. But she is caring and treats her well. It's nice. I still feel bad for you doing all of this for me. Just please tell me how I can be of help. Tamari's never been one for gifts. If she's done a favor, she has to return it. Owing people leads to nothing good from her experience. Yoshino thinks for a moment. You could go ahead and ask my moron of a son out. Tamari chokes on her food. Honestly, that boy's too much like his father. The older woman laments. He's not going to make the first move, you know. He needs a stronger woman to get him to his senses. Tamari hits her chest to clear her airways. She'll probably thank you. She snatches the bento box from the table and rushes out, trying to hide her flushed cheeks. Kids. Yoshino laughs and continues washing the dishes. They'll get there. Akimichi household. Over at the Akimichis, a more or less similar side is unfolding. Karui was assigned to live with the renowned clan and has been adjusting to her new life here slowly but surely. For one, everything is a bit larger than average. That's even a dig at their size and weight. The Akimichi are just naturally taller than most, towering over many other shinobi she's seen. The Rikage and B are tall and bulky, but even they look small compared to these people. So naturally the doorways are bigger, the beds are bigger, tables, chairs. It's not a jarring difference, but it's definitely there, and it takes some getting used to. Having just finished eating, Choza cleans his mouth with a napkin and stands. I've got some errands to run before the meeting, so I'll be heading out. He leans down to kiss his wife and hugs his son. I'll see you there, Karui. He finally addresses their guests. Yes, sir. You've all been pretty busy lately, huh? Choji notes. Karui leans back in her chair, her plate also now empty. There's a lot to prepare. It's an important time for all of us, so we have to be at our best. It's really commendable work you're all doing. You, Shikamaru, Ino, you've all found clear goals you're working to. Well, it's the same for you, right? You're the heir to your clan, that's a lot of responsibility. Choji shrugs. Yeah, but that's still a long ways away. Until then, I can just do what I've been doing so far. Karui stands up and pats him on the back. It's good work that needs doing. You're a Jonin of the Hidden Leaf. A lot rests on you, Akimichi, don't be hard on yourself. Ha, thanks. With that, Karui goes to get ready herself for the day. Choji gets up just after her to go about his own day of doing missions. Hokage building. It's still early. The meeting doesn't start for another half hour at least, but Ino finished early, so barring anything else to do, she decided to make her way here. Kiba's still busy with other tasks, so they don't exactly have time to themselves. There's probably no one here right now, so she'll spend this time to get some needed rest and relaxation, the little she can get right now. Today's meeting's going to involve practically everyone. The Leaf Council, the clan leaders, and the Shinobi Union representatives are to take part in discussions and preparations for the upcoming exams, to talk over everyone's responsibilities and expectations for what's to come. One quick change made to the meeting room is the seating arrangement. For clan meetings, it's a rectangular table with the clan leaders split evenly on each side. For today, a new table was placed. A very large semicircle with everyone facing toward a single desk, designated for the Hokage. When she opens the door to the meeting room, however, she's met by an unexpected sight. Alone in the room, Naruto is sitting cross-legged on his designated chair, his new orange cloak hanging to the side. Yo! Naruto greets her. Ino furrows her brows. Naruto? What are you doing here this early? Has he become more diligent? It'd only be natural given his new responsibilities. Ah, well, I got the time wrong. I thought we were supposed to be here an hour ago. He scratches his cheek with an embarrassed smile. Yeah, that makes more sense. She laughs and sits on the chair next to him, the one designated for the head of the Hyuga clan. How are you and Hinata doing? We haven't really talked a lot lately. Yeah, guess not. We're doing good, trying to get the hang of everything. Who knew having a clan was so hard? How do you do it? With a lot of help. Ino sighs. I don't know what I would have done without Uncle Choza helping me out. I get what you mean. Awaji sometimes acts more like clan head than me. Naruto chuckles. But Fusuma's given a lot of help. Fusuma Senju, huh? Guess they're trying to build themselves up, just like the Uzumaki. Things aren't like they used to be. Pretty much. It's been rough for everyone, you know? So we gotta help each other out when we can. He grins and holds up his fist to her. That counts for the Yamanaka too. Of course. Ino smiles and lightly bumps his fist with her own. You know, I still can't wrap my head around all this. You as a clan head. Who would have thought? Naruto laughs. Hey, I'm the most surprised one here. It's been a hell of a journey, but, all in all, I'm glad with where we got. Ha, look at you being all optimistic. That's why so many people put their trust in you. She leans back in the chair and giggles. Even call you the Redeemer. Wait, what? He stares at her. The Redeemer? What's that supposed to be? Like a nickname. She shrugs. It fits you to a T. How? He complains. Well, how many people have you redeemed? The main reason the Hidden Rain is going to join the Union, even though their leader is former Akatsuki, is because of her connection to you. Then we have the well-known criminals and former servants of Orochimaru, Gurren of the Crystal Style, Gozu the Mud Wall, Jugo of the Scales, and Karen. Don't even get me started with Sasuke. That's a grand total of 6 criminals redeemed thanks to you. Ino shrugs. I don't want to get stuck with a nickname like that. Ino thinks for a moment. Naruto the Merciful? That's somehow even worse. He whines, why can't I have a cool like the Yellow Flash or the White Fang or something? Ino taps her chin in contemplation. The Leaf's Orange Mercy? Naruto grumbles and slams his head on the desk in front of him. Ino pats him on the back as she laughs. There. It's not all bad. It means people trust you. It's a good thing. She says, but his reaction is too funny, so her continued laughter doesn't help. The doors open, interrupting their conversation. Shikamaru and Kakashi enter the room, carrying a fairly large stack of folders and clipboards. Shikamaru looks past his cargo to see who's in the room. Oh, hey, you two. Kakashi smiles from under his mask. Coming to the meeting, so much earlier than needed. So diligent. It warms my old heart. Naruto looks up from his position on the table, giving a light smile. You're not even close to old, sensei. If you feel old now, just wait until the little one is born. Ino comments. Don't remind me. I'm already not sure I'm juggling everything. Kakashi shakes his head and approaches the table, placing down the stacks he was carrying. What's with him? He points to Naruto. He's not happy with his uncool nickname. Ino giggles. The Redeemer? Shikamaru asks as he puts down his own stack. Naruto jumps up from his seat. You know about that too. Almost everyone does. Kakashi notes as he passes a folder to both Naruto and Ino. You didn't know? Man, nobody tells me anything. Naruto grabs the folder he was handed. What's this? Shikamaru answers as he places a folder in front of each empty chair. Topics of discussion for today. Things to go over, things to do in the coming month, that kinda thing. One thing not covered is how much Hiashi Hyuga doesn't like people in his chair. He makes an offhanded remark to his friend and teammate. Ino takes the hint and hops off. Yeah, guess we're going to get full soon. She quickly goes back to her own seat on the opposite side of the long table. Among the first to arrive is Tamari, here to represent the hidden sand. She walks in with a quickened step and flustered expression, which only become quicker and more flustered when she sees Shikamaru. Hey. He greets her. Shut up, don't talk to me. She heads directly to her chair and hides behind the folder placed there. Shikamaru stares. What did I do this time? He sighs. What a drag. Oh? Ino leans forward and gives a devilish smirk. Well, now. Soon enough the room begins, being filled with everyone of import for the meeting. The 5 Shinobi Union representatives, which includes the Hidden Leaf's Hinata Hyuga, who passes by Naruto, giving him a light squeeze on the shoulder, trying to remain professional in the setting. The clan leaders take their seats, with Hiashi Hyuga stopping to stare at his own for an uncomfortable period of time. Naruto and Ino try to remain perfectly still and not give away anything. Without a word, Hiashi sits down and the two blondes share a relieved look. The elders, Homura Mitakato and Kaharu Utatana. The Anbu captain, Yamato. The police force captain, Gaku Inuzuka. The leader of the sensory unit, Santi Yamanaka. The leader of the torture and interrogation force, Ibiki Marino. The interim leader of the medical unit, Sakura Haruno. The younger generation who spent time together in the academy greet each other from their places, trying not to bring too much attention to themselves. After all, the people around them are elites and veterans with much more experience than them. They've been in meetings like this plenty of times and know proper conduct. Of course, there's one person not affected by such thoughts. Naruto happily and eagerly waves to Sakura as she enters, although picks up from Hiashi's stern look too. Just not. Two presences that probably no one expected arrive along with the 5th Hokage, Sanada. One is more of a welcome presence, one Waji Uzumaki. An elder from back when the hidden Whirlpool village was alive and active, at the peak of its strength. He's already made a name for himself within the Hidden Leaf and his expertise is welcome and appreciated by all. The other presence, however, causes a bit of a stir. People just still aren't used to having Sasuke Uchiha around. Oddly enough, one person seemingly not surprised by him being here is Naruto. The others expected him to have the biggest reaction of them all, but he's hardly calm about it. Sanada takes her seat, with Awaji and Sasuke standing right behind her. I see we're all present. Good. She takes a look at the folder in front of her and pushes it to the side. Before we begin, there's something that was brought to my attention that merits yours as well. Sasuke. She looks to the young man to her left. Tell them what you told me. He nods and steps forward. After the Uchiha massacre, Obi. He stops mid-sentence and looks at his former sensei, who remains as unreadable as ever. Tobi took all of the Sharingan with him, no doubt to keep them out of the hands of Danzo Shimura. He hid them in a remote location called Mountain's Graveyard, deep within the land of woods. An year ago I went back to retrieve them for safekeeping, only to be met by the leader of the hidden mountain village, Kitamaru Sakata, and an entourage. So he knew about the place? Shikamaru asks. Did he always know and was in on everything? That, I can't answer. But he did have extensive knowledge that no one else seems to know. He was able to completely nullify my Sharingan's abilities. He spoke as if he's aware of secrets the Sharingan possesses that I've been unable to find out about. Iwaji steps forward. However, there may be a hint as to what these secrets are. When I traveled to the ruins of the hidden whirlpool along with Naruto, Hinata, and young Kiri, he motions to all three people. We found that the secret behind the sealing and unsealing of the great beasts lies within the Uzumaki and holders of two bloodlines that can see what cannot be seen. The Sharingan and the Byakugan. Kakashi intertwines his fingers. So you're saying that Kitamaru Sakata knows about this great beast threat? I can only speculate that his apparent knowledge coincides with ours. Sanada interjects. It's also possible coincidence simply overlapped and that paints him in a worse light. However, with no better leads as of yet, that is what we should assume. She nods to Kakashi in confirmation. Hiashi stands up from his seat. So if that's what we're to believe, and Sakata knows about the great beasts, that means he took the Sharingan because he needs them for whatever it is he needs them. If your words are true, Elder Iwaji, then does that not mean he would require the Byakugan as well as the Sharingan? How could we justify allowing him into our village if he has such ambitions? I fully understand your worries, Hiashi, and they've been discussed. Sanada motions for him to sit down. However, we still don't know what the purpose is behind releasing the great beasts, what the goals and ambitions are of these people, whether or not it's Kitamaru Sakata and the Hidden Mountain. If we reveal our hands, we might force them to act before we have a full picture, and if we want a full picture, we need to allow him some freedom. He will be monitored closely, of that I can assure you. Tamari sighs. If they do join the Shinobi Union, that would also give access to how we operate and how we intend to move. It's not something to scoff at. Precisely. Sanada nods. That's why we have to be prepared, and it's what we're going to figure out today. Together. She makes sure to meet everyone's gaze, making it clear this is not an issue where they're only going to hear the final word. This is an issue where everyone will have a word if they're to succeed. Sasuke. She turns her head to face him. From just his name being spoken, he gets the hint. He's an alien presence to his room. He's done his duty, so now it's time to let the hidden leaf handle it from here. He lightly bows his head and turns to leave. Remain here. Sanada orders. We're going to need everyone. Elder Iwaji, you, as well. Surprised, Sasuke stays motionless, having already prepared to leave and unsure if he actually does belong here. Well, orders and orders. He takes a step back to where he previously was by the Hokage's desk since there's not actually anywhere else for him to go. Not like there's empty seats lying around. Feels weird being here after everything, though. It's only then that Sanada takes the folder that was left for her and opens now. Now then, we have a month to prepare for the Chunin exams. Great beasts or not, we still have work to do. At this point, an Anbu appears in front of the Hokage's desk, interrupting the meeting. What's the meaning of this? Yamato demands. My apologies. Lady Hokage, we've received news from the Land of Woods. A great beast attacked a town not far from the hidden mountain village. What? She slams her hands on the desk, standing to her feet. What happened? We don't have the full details, ma'am, but it appeared from a gate as previous reports stated and began rampaging. By the time Shinobi arrived, the town was already destroyed. Which one was it? Naruto asks. Reports say it appeared to be a humanoid turtle. The man answers. Kurama growls within the shared mind space. The Kappa again. The Anbu continues his report. Kitamaru Sakata and Shinobi from the hidden mountain village drove it back, suffering heavy casualties. Sanada sits back down and bites her nail in frustration. Well, there goes that thought. Sasuke stares at the Anbu, deep in thought. Or maybe not, the Anbu misinterprets his stare as anger and quickly excuses himself, leaving the room with new information to process. Pakan Town, Land of Woods. Kitamaru Uzumaki walks through the wreckage of what was once a town, acting as the final resting point to the hidden mountain village. He goes over the destruction caused by the attack, checking for any survivors and salvaging what they can. Shinobi from the hidden mountain are present as well, assisting the local authorities where they can. When alone, he's approached by Mizushi Asui and Kikyo Uzumaki, two of his trusted allies. Kikyo looks over the destruction. Was this necessary? Sadly, yes. Kitamaru answers without hesitation. Sasuke Uchiha knows. You were there. Mizushi adds. He's no doubt already revealed what he saw, and they have their suspicions. Now, we are also victims of this new threat, and the wounds will still be fresh by the Chunin exams. Kitamaru hops down some of the rubble below. Their sacrifice will not go unappreciated. These are the preparations we must suffer to achieve what we want. End of chapter 45.